Ladies and gentlemen, the stock market opened and is crashing instantly, also causing Bitcoin's price to fall down from roughly 57,000 just an hour ago to right now below 55. Accompanying all of that, we had a fear and greed index of 22. This means the fear right now with Bitcoin is extremely high. Literally, we are in extreme fear. But should you be? What's our trade going to be next? Let us talk about it. So first of all, if you have not noticed, Bitcoin's price has been in a downtrend for as long as I can kind of remember. At least in the very recent past, this is the pattern that Bitcoin has been following, a simple downtrend. Now, before we move on, if you've not pressed that like button yet, right now is your best time to do so. And if you want to learn more about trading, join our Discord, as we'll be getting a ton of valuable content in there out for everybody for free. So check it out right now with the link down below. It's just a group of hopefully like-minded people. Anyway, like I was saying, most of the stocks right now are also falling again. Nvidia is not looking good. Google down 2%, Amazon down 2%, Microsoft down 1%. You can clearly see a little bit of a pattern here over the last few days where everything is just crumbling right down. Now, I will add that one, or rather two pieces of data that everybody also had their eyes peeled on a little bit earlier were the non-farm payrolls and the unemployment rate, which came out right about 2 hours ago. But it's actually funny. If we take a look at Bitcoin's price, the moment that the data dropped, which on this chart would be this point right here, or let's go to a 1-minute chart just for fun, this whole pump here, taking Bitcoin from 55.9 all the way to 57,000 was caused by the numbers. And then when the stock market opened, after going higher and higher, Bitcoin just had a soul-crushing experience of going down 4% or so over the last hour. Wow, right? We're down 4% in just 1 hour? Anyway, but to quickly get into what exactly caused all of this to happen, besides the stock market, Bitcoin a little bit earlier made a double top at roughly $65,000, which turned our short-term uptrend into a new downtrend, which accompanies this pattern. As it currently stands, there's no real indication that this pattern is going to be broken because we are currently still, as can clearly be seen, making lower highs and lower lows. Then again, the level where we currently stand is also where we had a beautiful bounce off of exactly 1 month ago, with again the next layer of defense being significantly lower, around the $49,000 mark, which is where it ultimately fell through towards also about a month ago. And so with levels of importance, depending on whether or not we break through right now and break away from the structure, it's looking like our next support is going to be around 49,000. If we do manage to hold within this area, I am expecting a potential move back upwards in the very near term, but I will admit that the stock market making such heavy moves over the past few days with Nvidia spearheading it. But take a look at that, AVGO down 10%, AMD down 4%. There being this much fear is definitely not helping us out. But take a look at that. The S&P just had a massive bounce here as well. It's honestly, because of this being a crucial support for Bitcoin, what I also expect to happen to it. Because the moment we break down, it's probably going to be some carnage for the very short term. I mean, if we're zooming out, and this is a video we made a while back, look at our prediction and how accurate it was at the time. We expected another bounce upwards after retesting the support, which it did, which is interesting. Right now, to put it into perspective, these levels from the beginning of July are crucial. Why? Because depending on what happens right now over the next few days, we might actually be seeing a change of structure. How is that so? Well, think about it. If this right here was our low, with this being the next low, being significantly lower, obviously, this being another low, but now higher, simply put, the trend went from going downwards to making its final lowest point, and then moving upwards. Depending on what happens here, though, which is the current area we are facing, it'll probably also decide where we're headed next. If we're able to bounce off of the exact same level, it could be very juicy. If we do manage to break, though, again, we have a second line of defense, but the structure is still negative, logically. And if we do not hold there, then again, let's not think about the doom scenarios too much. Most logical is for Bitcoin to follow the pattern along. And looking at this example that I've drawn here, the most interesting level to break then would be the previous high. Why? Well, you've basically got two trends. A downtrend being signified by lower lows and lower highs, and an uptrend being shown by higher highs and higher lows. So going from this to this. If it turns out that this August level was the lowest point we ever reach, we can basically see all the previous stuff as a downtrend, this as the final bottom, this, for example, being our first top, this being the first higher bottom, and then again, depending on how the price is going to look, if we're able to go past this $65,000 range, for example, go back to the $68,000 level and perhaps top out there, we've right now confirmed ourselves a new trend. That would honestly be the most bullish scenario for the longer term. This then might mark the bottom for Bitcoin. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this line that I've portrayed here is not completely accurate, but it basically depicts the way the prices have been moving. What on a bigger scale we're looking to see is for the Bitcoin price not to bottom out below the last bottom, because once more, that would signify that we have changed the trend from looking like this, so again, it being negative, to hopefully now shifting to positive. So where do we then open a trade? Most likely once we now confirm the bottom is not set lower than our previous bottom and this level gets broken. So there are two main scenarios to trade this. One is if we get back to the solid support at roughly $50,000. I think even opening it at roughly $52,000 would be fine. There is some leeway, as right here we touched 48 point something, but I'm going to say the $48,000 to $51,000 range to start opening longs back up again to catch the massive waves, to try catch the bottom. Or secondary, if we're not willing to wait for this lower level or the prices hold here, it is probably wise to go in once we have our momentum going again, which would once more be when a bottom is set, the move towards the upside has begun, and we break above these previous high points on the smaller and again on some higher time frames to show a difference of trend, or I should say a change of trend. Anyway, right now as we speak, we are in very interesting price action territory, as this will most likely set what direction Bitcoin is going to go for the next few weeks, depending again on what happens over the next few hours. Once more, I will say that I do believe the stock market has the bigger overhand here, and because it has been acting so negatively, it's dragging Bitcoin down. I mean, we can see it in terms of the fear, right? Bitcoin is still at like 55,000, but the fear is like we're back at 20,000. It's crazy. And I think a lot of people are fearful because it's been a week straight of Bitcoin ETF outflow. As I've stated before on the channel, I do not think this outflow is bad. I think the fact that these guys are getting out could actually significantly mark a bottom here because of how things have previously moved. But again, also, like I've described 1,000 times, outflows are not that odd when your ETF grows this much and when there's this much possibility for manipulation because it's such a new asset class. Anyway, those are some trades that I might take here. A couple of traders over on Twitter are getting extremely popular for only shorting. But in a market this bullish, yes, if you take extreme risk, it might work out. But with our strategy, as I've described 1,000 times before, over a longer period of time, it is extremely hard to lose and extremely profitable. So if you're not done yet, make sure you go ahead and join the Discord. Link is down below. And if you want to trade, I've got a link down below to Bybit, which is the exchange I personally use. And that's about it.